people can go away.
I mean, that's what people were saying, and maybe everybody's a conspiracy theorist now, but that's what people are saying about the Diddy situation. Like when the feds rolled up, with the fummers and shit, they're like, it wasn't about Diddy, it was about if there were tapes of powerful people there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
They were the ones that called. They're like, I need to protect myself, so go in there with all the things and rip any tapes or any evidence.
Well, Prince Harry was hanging with Diddy.
I mean, everybody hung with Diddy. That's the other tricky thing. Like, Diddy hung out with everybody. And I've spoken to a bunch of people who are like, yo, great dude, like, always there for you, never asked for a single thing.
Till 1 a.m.
And then the freak off.
Everybody says, get out of the house.
Yeah.
It's like the gremlins start eating after midnight. Everybody who tells the stories like, I saw her go upstairs and these dudes are like right on the couch.
Yeah.
And then I go in this room and these guys are finished. Like,
and pros. Like, apparently he was getting male gigolos, girls.
Girls?
Yeah, that was one of the rumors, like the
Male
freak off.
gigolos.
So he would hire the professional to have with the girls. And I think he would watch, allegedly. That's what was alleged, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Puff Daddy to me is like what's them dudes who run the 3-ring circus? That dude that come out and, you know what I mean, just ringmaster.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Eva Baroni Combs? Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. But please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
That's like a little bit like borderline suspect. I don't want nobody. We want to get it clear. I adopted you like Madonna adopted kids and everybody else adopted kids. Charlize Theron, everybody's ever adopted Sandra Bullock. I adopted you because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out. So, just clarify it because it's crazy out here online. So I played with the kids and I got permission from your mother to say all of that. It's crazy out here.
I met Jesse and Lila when I was 6 months old.
6 months.
And then basically.
Diddy's already in deep trouble, but now pictures from inside his infamous parties have surfaced, revealing dark scenes of debauchery and women being objectified. The role of Christina Korum has also come into the spotlight. Along with shocking new allegations, human sacrifices and bizarre rituals are now part of the accusations. With so much new information and disturbing visuals, let's look into what truly happened behind closed doors that is coming to the spotlight. What goes inside Diddy's secret parties? Sean Diddy Combs has long been a prominent figure in the music industry, celebrated for his success as a hip-hop mogul and cultural influencer. However, recent allegations surrounding his freak-off parties have cast a shadow over his legacy, revealing a disturbing underbelly to his glamorous persona. These events, known for their allure, are now subject to intense scrutiny as accounts from former attendees and insiders emerge. Diddy's white parties were held annually from 1998 to 2009. Attendees were often required to don all white attire, setting a glamorous stage for what many believed to be exclusive gatherings of the rich and famous. At these parties, models clad in revealing bikinis roamed the premises and Ciroc vodka flowed freely. Diddy himself was often the center of attention at these soirees. At the 2007 party in East Hampton, he made a grand entrance, emerging from the balcony of his mansion and declaring, "We about to turn it up." He encouraged guests to indulge in his Ciroc vodka, playfully promoting it with enthusiasm. "Taste it, you'll love it, for real," he proclaimed, setting the tone for a night filled with revelry. As reported by entertainment photojournalist Selma Fonseca, who attended multiple events, the atmosphere was charged with an air of reckless abandon. Once it got darker, people felt a little bit more comfortable, she noted, recalling how guests began to hook up and make out as the night progressed. This revelry, however, often masked deeper, more troubling currents running beneath the surface. One particular incident at a 2009 party in Los Angeles involved actor Ashton Kutcher, who, at the height of his fame, entertained guests by swinging across the pool. While such antics might seem harmless or even fun, they represent a facade overlaid on a party culture that some insiders claim became increasingly lawless as the night wore on. Fonseca recalled a distinct lack of safety after a certain hour, where guests seemed to lose themselves in a haze of alcohol and drugs. People were high on weed and ecstasy, she stated, although she emphasized that she never witnessed Diddy himself engaging in drug use. The parties became synonymous with a kind of excess that often spiraled out of control. Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, a former publicity director for Clive Davis's Arista Records, expressed her discomfort, saying, "My spidey senses were always on high alert, and I know that there's no safety after a certain hour when you got drinks flowing and people behind your back doing drugs in bathroom, and 2 or 3 people walking out of a bathroom together. So could there potentially be? Absolutely. Did I see it? No. I never stayed at the party late enough to see." She recounted her intuitive awareness of the danger lurking in the shadows of Diddy's celebrations. The darker aspects of Diddy's parties came to light during his recent indictment. Prosecutors alleged that the freak-offs, separate from the white parties, involved orchestrated sexual performances in which Diddy arranged, directed, and masturbated during, and often electronically recorded to fulfill his sexual desires. According to the indictment, Diddy used these recordings as a form of blackmail, holding them over the heads of those involved as a means of control. Witnesses also described scenes where women were coerced into participating in these acts, sometimes under the threat of violence. The chilling notion that these gatherings, cloaked in glamour, were actually fronts for exploitation has shocked the entertainment industry. Reports suggest that while Diddy himself reportedly abstained from drug use, many guests were seen under the influence of various substances. In one instance, Diddy was spotted dining next to a naked woman. The table in front of him featured a woman lying there unclothed, adorned with grapes and flowers, making her the focal point of the lavish spread. Allegations have surfaced indicating that Diddy's gatherings orchestrated events that included the hiring of sex workers and the use of hidden cameras. These claims suggest a deliberate effort to create a spectacle that could be recorded and potentially exploited later. Perhaps the most troubling revelations come from reports of underage girls being present at these events. These claims have sparked outrage and concern with former attendees, recalling seeing young individuals who did not appear to be of legal age mingling with adult guests. Another disturbing element of the freak-off events is the alleged practice of providing IV fluids to attendees recovering from excessive substance use. Reports indicated that some individuals left the parties in critical condition due to dehydration and other complications stemming from drug use. Witnesses described the atmosphere as one where personal safety and health were overlooked in favor of continued indulgence and excess. Adding another layer of complexity to the allegations is the suggestion that Diddy monitored activities during these parties remotely. A police source revealed to the New York Post that an officer monitored the parties from a separate room. He could also view everything remotely on his phone and stream it to a TV in another area of the house. He didn't need to be present during the sexual activity, although he often was. Diddy's reported preference for high-profile guests like Leonardo DiCaprio further complicates the narrative, suggesting that the parties were not only designed for enjoyment, but also served as networking opportunities for those within the entertainment industry. But that's not all. Jaguar Wright has leveled some serious allegations against Diddy, claiming that the music mogul sold a controversial party video for a staggering $500 million on the dark web. In her remarks, Wright stated that the footage allegedly features several A-list celebrities. The last freak-off tape that just got sold on the dark net, which I monitored, went for $500 million, she said. She suggested that Diddy sold the video out of financial desperation, referencing an incident in Calabasas where the footage supposedly captured questionable behavior. Wright also touched on the use of dark coin as a method for trading these videos on the dark web, claiming most people don't even know that the dark coin exists, but that's how they're trading for all of the flesh they sell. While her allegations have sparked interest, many fans and commentators are skeptical of Wright's credibility. In light of these serious allegations, Diddy has publicly denied all claims made against him, asserting his innocence and pleading not guilty in court. His legal team has challenged the credibility of the accounts presented, arguing that many allegations are exaggerated or unfounded. However, the volume of testimonies and the consistency of themes related to exploitation and lack of accountability continue to raise questions about the truth behind these events. Role of Diddy's chief of staff in sex trafficking. Christina Coram was once celebrated as Sean Diddy Combs' right-hand woman, and now she has come under intense scrutiny amid federal charges against the hip-hop mogul. Allegations have surfaced that liken Coram to Ghislaine Maxwell, the infamous associate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, as Combs faces serious accusations of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for prostitution. The spotlight is now on Coram's alleged role in orchestrating a disturbing web of illicit activities within Combs' inner circle. Celebrities who attended Diddy parties. As more and more information about Diddy and his wild parties comes out, it's getting harder and harder to find celebrities who haven't been involved, especially anyone with a name back in the 90s and early 2000s. Usher is one guy who must be feeling nervous right about now. He's known Diddy since he was a kid, and has even spoken about seeing crazy stuff at Diddy's parties when he was only 14. Recently there's been a video going around that shows him, Diddy and Kevin Hart in a bedroom, and Diddy says some really weird stuff.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, that's how. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented.
There are a lot of metaphors being used in that one, so we'll let you work out what he means. Usher was his good friend and like a brother to him, but he isn't Diddy's favorite party guest. In 2018, Diddy did an interview with Vogue where he said that Leonardo DiCaprio was his favorite party guest. If the allegations are true, and a lot of these parties were drug-fueled orgies with all kinds of illegal activity going on, then well, you could only imagine what someone would have to do to be Diddy's favorite party guest. We know Leonardo DiCaprio was a big fan of Diddy parties since he was always at them, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, but he's even been at Diddy's more recent ones, like Diddy's 50th birthday party. The words Diddy and party go together like sky and blue. Most people like to celebrate, but this guy made partying his identity. It all started in the 90s with his famous white parties that he used to throw at the Hamptons in New York. Diddy would host these extravagant gatherings at one of his mansions, and famous people from all walks of life would attend. Diddy was like a king at these things. Take a look. From gave you up some drinks now, Tony. Enjoy like this is a celebration of like this, the legendary white parties, the real white party. Thanks among that you've been here before. See what I mean? From the screams when Diddy asks the crowd if they've been before, we can tell that they were popular events back then, and from how enthusiastic the crowd of celebrities were, it's safe to say they had good times there. From the way Diddy speaks about his guests, we know he's fond of them, but when it comes to DiCaprio, Diddy seems to adore him. The two's friendship never ended back then, and they stayed close as they got older. Just look at Leonardo partying hard at Diddy's 50th birthday party. As awkward as his dance moves look, it seems like he's having a good time. Crazy allegations aside, it's pretty weird that these 50-year-old men always want to party anyway. Leonardo and Diddy were either best buddies or something else. Just look at the affection in his eyes when he gazes at him at one of the parties. Does anyone else think that looks a little more than friendly? Of course, Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the biggest celebrities in the late 90s and early 2000s, but he was far from the only household name that went to these things. He had Kim Kardashian there, Paris Hilton, and many others. They'd all be decked out in white from head to toe as they partied hard in one of Diddy's mansions. And although back then they were seen as innocent celebrity gatherings, nowadays more and more people are coming out and saying what really happened in. From orgies to drug use, all kinds of wild things supposedly went on at these white parties, and some of the biggest and most frequent attendees have been awfully silent about the whole thing. While some people still deny that big-name celebrities were involved in these antics, it's kinda hard to believe them when you can literally see pictures of them in bed together. The party with all of the celebs in bed together was from the year 2000 July 4th party at the Hamptons, and Dame Dash attended. Unlike everyone else who went to these parties, Dame has come out and spoken about his experience. On an Instagram Live on September 22nd, he said this: "I didn't go to those parties. I went to one in the Hamptons about 20 years ago with Aaliyah, and that's about it, but a lot of people were at those. You know what I mean? Just saying he didn't go to them, but then saying he did go to one is a bit of a contradiction, but let's see what else he has to say. Ain't happened in the Hamptons. That's the day I met Aaliyah. We hung out there, and then we left. That's what happened." He then goes on to talk about what he thinks of Diddy's accused crimes. People will sit there and watch people do things that could be immoral, but until they get caught, no one says anything. He then said, "Whether it's illegal or immoral, for me, I just break out. I don't wait for people to get busted. I don't wait for someone else to say that they're doing something wrong." Who knows how true any of that is, but you've got to give him some respect for coming out and speaking about it. Other Diddy partygoers like Jay-Z and Leonardo DiCaprio have been very silent about it. So we've seen who goes to these gatherings, but it's what goes on at them that has everyone talking. What goes on at Diddy parties? Even without the freaky, illegal stuff, we know these parties were wild. Topless women, alcohol, and celebs are what we see in the pictures, but now more and more people are coming out and saying what really went on, and it's shocking. In Diddy's dictator-like speech, we hear him talking about the kids having to go home. It's only kids. The kids have like an hour left. But get extra comfortable, kids, because after that, y'all gotta go. It's a wrap for y'all, cause this thing turns into something that when they'll get older, y'all not want to come to. Where do we even begin? Why are there even kids at these things in the first place? And why did he sound so creepy talking about them? And what does the party turn into once they're gone? Well, from the reports, there was a lot of naked bodies and drugs being snorted off them, along with some other stuff you'd only expect to see in the movies. Diddy must have felt untouchable then, since he commanded probably the most star-studded parties on earth. But it's strange that these white parties suddenly stopped in 2008, and he never hosted them again. He didn't stop partying, he just rebranded them. I wonder why. why. Well, a drug dealer who allegedly delivered narcotics to Diddy at one of the parties had a few things to say about what he saw. Speaking to the NYPD, he said, "You'd see two people you would not think would be hooking up rappers. That was what shocked me. And I won't say names, but there were rappers that I immediately lost respect for and could not take seriously ever again." He said after being greeted by Diddy wearing nothing but a robe, he was led to a back room and he saw loads of celebrities high off drugs doing all kinds of crazy acts. "That was when I got the out of there," he said. Even a guy whose job is to supply drugs to criminals thought it was too much. I think that says a lot. Now Diddy's been arrested. He's been accused of orchestrating and taking part in ceremonies known as freak-offs. The name will tell you the kind of stuff that allegedly went on. It said that Diddy would arrange and direct parties that he masturbated to. He allegedly flew out workers from around the world to take part in these freak-offs that would last for days and include copious amounts of drugs. They were so intense that it said that Diddy and the participants would have to take IV fluids to recover from the drugs and physical assertion. To make matters worse for Diddy, after his home was raided back in April, the police found things that they think were freak-off supplies. They found over 1,000 bottles of lube along with illegal AR-15s. The guns probably weren't used in the freak-offs, but at this point, who knows? The prosecutors say that Diddy would record these parties and use them to blackmail people who were involved. They also alleged that he used these recordings to keep everyone silent. That could explain why people who we know attended these parties refused to speak about them. If they were involved in freak-offs, then Diddy likely has the footage and nobody would want that leaked to the world. The prosecutors also say that Diddy would physically assault the victims and that it would sometimes take days for them to recover. An alleged insider called Tom Swoop has come out to speak about his experience at one of the Hampton parties. He says that he saw many famous names inside doing drugs, and also that an 18-year-old man was offered a record deal if he performed his act on a bodyguard. So we've had people who were allegedly there talk about their experience, and now we've seen evidence of freak-off supplies like the 1,000 bottles of lube. Things aren't looking good for celebrities who attended these parties, especially people like Jay-Z who are known to have been frequent Diddy party guests. 50 Cent, who's been trolling Diddy from the get-go, came out to make fun of Jay-Z for abandoning Diddy and posted this photo to Instagram which shows Jay-Z's face on a milk carton and a caption that says Jay-Z isn't answering Diddy's calls. 50 seems to be loving the drama and has been trolling Diddy and the people who went to these parties for a while now. Back when Diddy's home was arrested back in March, 50 Cent posted that picture and said, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." He's also spoken about the lube bottles and posted a picture with a caption mocking Diddy for that too. Back in 2007, Diddy, 50 Cent and Jay-Z performed together at Screamfest, and while 50 seems to be keeping his distance from them too, Diddy and Jay do something very weird. Diddy walks over to Jay-Z and spanks his not once but a few times. We'll let you decide what to make of that. Jay-Z is one of many names who are now in the spotlight over this, but for now he's holding his tongue. Others though have outright betrayed Diddy. Celebrities that betrayed Diddy. The reason the whole Diddy scandal begun was because one of the people closest to Diddy filed a lawsuit that spoke about many of the crimes he's now accused of, including the freak-off. Her name is Cassie Ventura, and she met Diddy when she was 19 and he was 37. She was a young up-and-coming R&B artist who signed to Diddy's record label, Bad Boy Records. Shortly after that, they began dating, and although she finally left him in 2018, the two of them were together for over a decade. In November 2023, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Diddy, which accused him of sexual assault and abuse. That would kickstart a chain of events that was likely one of the main reasons Diddy is where he is in now, in jail. That lawsuit didn't get him arrested though, as Cassie chose to settle it for an undisclosed sum of money. However, in the lawsuit, she talks about being involved in freak-offs. She says Diddy forced her to take part in them and have with male prostitute. The lawsuit was settled after just one day, and that was that, or so Diddy thought. The lawsuit mentions a specific incident that occurred in a hotel where Diddy allegedly beat her up and dragged her back to the room when she tried to leave. At the time of the lawsuit, Diddy and his lawyer denied all allegations and said that their selling the lawsuit was not an admission of guilt. However, around 3 months later, a former employee of Diddy would file his own lawsuit, which would reignite his legal trouble, and then around 7 months later, a video started going around that backed up what Cassie was saying in the lawsuit. This video went viral in the spring of 2024, and in it you can see what looks like Diddy assaulting Cassie and dragging her by her hair back to the hotel room. It's very similar to what she was saying in the lawsuit. Diddy couldn't really deny that one since it was on camera, so he made this apology video instead.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
Another interesting thing about the Cassie case is that she said that Diddy forced her to have with male prostitutes. Well, a guy came out in 2018 and said the same thing. Nobody took him seriously at the time, but this guy who's a gay worker was being interviewed by police and spoke about having with Diddy as well as Cassie. Take a look. I had with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters. He said it happened over 15 times, which is pretty crazy, but that's not all he had to say. Check this out. They're gay. True, both. Eddie and Ross and Kevin. They all gay. Peter Jelly, Rick Ross and DJ. Yeah, they don't get it. Yeah. We haven't heard much about Rick Ross and DJ Khaled's connection to Diddy yet, but someone should probably look into that. Cassie Ventura is not the only person who betrayed Diddy. The lawsuits just keep coming, and they're all from people who personally knew Diddy. Dawn Richard is another singer who once knew Diddy and is now making allegations against him. She belonged to a female R&B group known as Danity Kane. Diddy himself signed her and put the group together after she appeared on an MTV show called Making the Band. You may recognize her for being in some of Diddy's songs, but she's now saying Diddy owes her several $1 million. Dawn and the rest of the group were very close to Diddy as well as Cassie, and even featured on his most popular song, Coming Home, alongside Cassie. What's interesting is Coming Home was written by Jay-Z and given to Diddy as a gift. Dawn Richard says that during her time around Diddy and his circle, she saw some stuff including verbal, physical, and sexual abuse. She says she personally witnessed Cassie Ventura being abused and said that Neo, Usher, and record label exec Jimmy Iovine were also witnesses to the abuse. Another man who helped produce Diddy's newest album, Rodney Jones, has another lawsuit where he claims Diddy and other celebrities sexually assaulted. While most of the people who betrayed Diddy were fellow musicians, his old friend LeBron James has also cut ties with him. LeBron unfollowed Diddy on Instagram earlier in the year after the video of him assaulting Cassie came out. LeBron was once a Diddy party lover and famously said this, "Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party. Every day Diddy seems to have fewer and fewer friends, but some remain loyal to the end." Celebrities that stayed loyal to Diddy. R. Kelly is a name that has become synonymous with human trafficker, and he'd be the last person you'd want to jump to your defense if you're facing similar charges. I'm sure Diddy's grateful that at least one person is publicly defending him, but it's really not a good look, and he probably wishes R. Kelly would just keep his mouth shut. R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison for trafficking and racketeering, but he doesn't believe the trafficking allegations against Diddy. During a conversation with Whack 100 from Inside, prison R. Kelly allegedly spoke about Diddy's home being raided back in April and said that he agrees with Biggie, who once said that federal agents are mad because he's flaking, whatever that means. But R. Kelly also had a dire warning for anyone that's famous and said that they could be next. He said celebrities are being hunted now regardless of whether allegations about their crimes are true or not. He said, "The shit is crazy. Mother out there laughing and making comedian jokes and doing all the other shit on the radio and everything else, but they could be next." He then said, "That's what's so up about it. They so stupid they don't even realize the move that's going on." He then went on to outright say how he doesn't believe in any of the crimes against Diddy. "I don't believe none of it. You could tell me about Puffy, you could about anybody. You could tell me on the news, the weather, the sky is blue. I'm not gonna believe this cause I'm in it now, and I know what they did." R. Kelly will likely live out the rest of his life, or at least the vast majority of it behind bars, and with the way things are going, Diddy might be joining him. So the number of people that have come to Diddy's defense, you can probably count on one hand, but there's one of his closest associates, a guy whose career Diddy helped launch, who has refused to say anything bad about him. His name is Justin Bieber. When Justin Bieber was about 14, he had an interesting relationship with Diddy. He met Diddy when he signed with Usher's record label, which Diddy was a huge part of creating and helping grow. They spent 48 hours together, and Diddy said, "I have been given custody of him, you know, he signed to Usher, and I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. We're gonna go full crazy." Who knows what kind of crazy Diddy meant, but from what we know, we can take a guess. Diddy was like a mentor to Justin, and we know the two spent a lot of time in each other's company. However, something happened a year after they met that made Justin appear to distance himself from his old mentor. It's certainly strange to see a 40-year-old man so desperate to hang out with a minor, and from how nervous and awkward Justin looks, you can't blame people for thinking something happened. Still, despite that, the two of them remain friends. And years later, another clip came out where you see what looks like Diddy patting Justin Bieber down as if he's looking for a why. Diddy's acting super strange in the video, but the two of them look really close, and at the very end, when they're about to part ways, Justin says something that sounds an awfully lot like, "I love you." So it looks like they were close still then, but after Diddy's arrest, he's been silent. However, a spokesperson has come forward and said he's aware of Diddy's arrest and the allegations, and it's not something Justin wants to focus on. Justin would surely know a thing or two about the crimes that Diddy's accused of, so his being silent could be seen as his way of defending him. Another guy, Russell Simmons, outright defended Diddy's name back in May. Simmons is a writer and record label exec, and after Diddy was arrested, he said, "Watching our brothers fall is hurtful. Having everybody get together and laugh at our brothers fall or supporting the tearing down of our brothers is tough." Russell urged people to focus on the positives, like how Diddy may have impacted their careers in a good way. He's also facing sexual assault allegations of his own, so yeah, it looks like the only people who are defending Diddy directly are accused of similar crimes. None of your friends coming out to clear your name sure says a lot about your character. Most of them are probably scared of being caught too, and we now know the FBI has had Diddy and his circle on their radar for a while now. How the FBI caught Diddy. On September 20th, footage was leaked which showed Diddy taken into custody. We see him walking into a hotel with two police officers are waiting for him. One has the paperwork and one has the cuffs. They gesture to Diddy to follow them while his crew looks shocked and helpless. They march him down a corridor and then they lead him back outside. He was then taken to one of the worst jails in New York where he'll stay until his trial. Most people think the investigation started with Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, but now some think it's been going on a lot longer. In his most recent indictment, he's accused of abusing, threatening, and coercing women for years to fulfill his sexual desires, and that he used his his power and influence to avoid arrest. Prior to September, Diddy's public lawsuits from alleged victims were piling up, but he hadn't yet had federal charges dropped on him. However, many think that the Justice Department's successful case against R. Kelly laid the blueprint for how to catch him, all depending on what evidence was discovered. In R. Kelly's case, federal agents secured a conviction on federal racketeering and trafficking charges stemming from Kelly's efforts over the years to use his fame to ensnare victims he sexually abused. The Federal Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, also known as RICO, is a statute that targets so-called criminal enterprises and has very harsh sentences that can be used as leverage for prosecutors wishing to flip potential co-conspirators or encourage defendants to take plea deals. RICO cases have changed the game, especially when it comes to catching famous criminals, but as we said, it all depends on what evidence they find. Earlier in the year, the police raided his home. At the time, the civilian lawsuits were seen as enough to justify the raids, but it wasn't until now that we found out what was inside. On March 25th, the police raided his homes in LA and Miami, and because he was a target of a federal probe carried out by Homeland Security, they said that the investigation stems from many of the same sexual assault allegations put forth in the civil lawsuits. Homeland Security is responsible for investigating transnational crime and threats, including human trafficking, terrorism, narcotic smuggling, and other organized criminal activity. So in other words, this was serious business. A lawyer for Diddy objected to how the searches were conducted. Aaron Dyer, Combs' attorney, said in a statement to CNN at the time, "It was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. There is no excuse with the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities, or the way his children and employees were treated." Two of Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian, were detained and briefly handcuffed during the search warrant execution at his LA mansion. They were not arrested or charged. However, they have been implicated in his crimes, and the lawsuit filed by Rodney Jones, it says that Diddy's son Christian was a key part of the crimes that went on. After the houses were raided back in March, the federal investigators didn't take action immediately. They sat back and waited until they had enough evidence to grab it. We later found out that there was incriminating evidence in Diddy's home, including thousands of bottles of lube, as well as some illegal guns. During a press conference held just after he was taken into custody, the feds revealed that they'd been building a case against Diddy since 2008. As the lawsuits keep piling up, we're seeing more and more allegations that not only Diddy but many other celebrities were involved. Rodney Jones filed a 73-page lawsuit all the way back in February, which was even before his house got raided, that detailed many famous names as being involved in the crimes. He implicated rappers like Meek Mill and R&B singers like Usher, and although he later redacted their names, he certainly got people speculating. Some of the most shocking allegations in the Rodney Jones lawsuit is that some of the biggest record label owners of music were involved, like Lucian Grange and Ethiopia Haptomarian. They would allegedly disappear for hours into Diddy's bedroom and be also accused of organizing parties where people were drugged and workers attended, as well as knowing about what went on. What's strange is that Lucian Grange and his label Universal Music Group were mysteriously dropped from the case when they threatened to sue Rodney and his lawyer. He's been named as the most powerful man in music many times, so we'll let you think about that.